Thanks, Steve, and certainly good afternoon to everybody. Appreciate everybody's interest in our program and, more importantly, in our players, and just sharing information about them. As you know, we've started camp. We just finished our 9th practice today, so we're really not quite halfway through. But talk a little bit about the first 9 days, and then happy to field any questions. And just regards camp, just in general principles. My 24th camp now, being back, and each and every year it's kind of magical. It's always a fun time to start. Some years a little bit more fun than others, but it's certainly good to get back with the players on a daily basis, get a feel for their energy and just kind of where they're at. And it's fun to see them, playing football again, and all the work that they do. I always talk to our guys about every phase being really important. And now this is when the football, things start translating to what they're doing football-wise. So it's fun to watch them make some progress, and it's also good just to see them working together. And that's what camp's all about. Very few distractions. So that part's good. It was a little frustrating back in the spring. As you know, we were really impacted by injuries, quite frankly, probably as many as I can remember. We still got too many guys in our practice, and I kind of remind myself that's typical of August, but we're certainly in better position than we were in the spring. And just on a negative note, I think I've already mentioned Justin Britt will not be able to play this year, Jackson Ritter. And then one day add to the list, at least for the start of the season, in our two deep, Deontay Vines injured his wrist. He'll be in a cast. You'll see that. And that is going to impact the beginning part of the season for him. It's unfortunate. He was really practicing well, and certainly would have been a guy who could help, contribute to our football team. So it's not season-ending, I don't think, but hopefully we'll get him back here somewhere mid-season, whenever. We'll just kind of take that by day. Regarding the squad, just in general terms, as I said in the spring, I think we've got a good group of veterans. We're certainly more veteran than we were last year at this time, and but right along with that, really see some encouraging things from the younger guys that we still don't know a lot about, but see some encouraging things. Both guys that were in the program and a couple guys that just joined us, so that's good. Again, camp's all about competition. I think everybody's doing a good job of competing right now, and it's good to have that competition. Just I think that helps, promote growth, and also see a lot of guys that look like they're determined. So that's really the cornerstone of our program, is just our guys developing with each phase. And I think the guys that are out there able to work have done a good job with that. So that's been encouraging. And that all that being said, we're still halfway through it, and we're still a long way from having the guys come out of the tunnel in front of 70,000 people and swarming out there. It's a little different experience too. So we'll see where all that goes. I know there's a lot of excitement with our fan base, and really pleased about that. And I'll get back to that, and a lot of anticipation. And we feel the same thing, but we also realize there's still a lot of work to do before we're even close to being ready to play. And you'll see that tomorrow. But the whole idea right now is just push daily, throwing new things at the team pretty much on a daily basis once we got started. And it's all about, going through those steps and trying to get ready so you can look good when game competition really begins. Offensively, we'll start there. The quarterbacks are doing a good job. I think Spencer's really, done a nice job out there leading our football team. I think Alex has improved. He's doing a good job as well. And Joe, still behind them. I think that's to be expected, but he's done well. Carson was affected a little bit by an illness. He's back with us, and looks like a good prospect there. The offensive line, it's a moving target right now. Got some good veteran play so far. Obviously, we lost a really good player with Tyler Linderbaum, but see some guys doing some good things out there. We've had some injuries, guys in and out, so guys moving around, and you'll see that tomorrow. Connor Colby's been working out at tackle the last couple of days, done a good job there. So, a lot of guys in and out, but I think we're seeing some good things there, and if we can get everybody healthy, we'll have a chance to be decent at that. And then our 7-on-7 players, we have some experience now, a little bit more than a year ago. Feel good about our tight end position. Start there with both Laporta and Lachey. It's a good 1-2 punch. The receivers, injuries have been part of the deal there, predictably. And, hopefully we're making progress, but seeing, really good performances from Nico, our most veteran guy. And then Arlen Bruce has done a really good job, too, of note. Alec Wick's done a good job, young guy who, we didn't know a lot about. till last spring, basically. He's really done a good job as well. And the running back position, like what our guys that have been here, LaShawn and Gavin, have done. And our two young guys that just came in, Caleb and Jazz, have really, made a good impression too. They're off to a good start. So I think that's encouraging defensively. We have a lot of veterans back, some injuries in the secondary, but like the way those guys are working, what we're seeing. Our linebackers, all three of them were out last spring, and it was really good for the other guys to get experience. I think they've benefited from that, and then we've got our three starters back, and they're practicing well, so that's good. And then up front, we lost Zach, but basically everybody else is back, and I feel like we've got a good nucleus there. Those guys have been practicing well, doing a good job. And then on special teams, Torrey has had a really good camp thus far, and that was to be expected. Luke Elkin, the snapper. And the big variable right now would be the kickers. And, we haven't done a lot of kicking, but I guess it was yesterday. They basically had a perfect day. Both those guys really looked well, looked good. Big contrast to the spring. It wasn't so good publicly or behind closed doors. Things weren't looking so good there, just in terms of consistency. But that's something we'll watch all camp and know better. And we'll probably have to ride the roller coaster there a little bit. And then as far as returners, I think we've got some capable candidates, and we'll just kind of see where that goes. But you've got certainly guys like DeJean, you've got Arlen Bruce, you've got Riley Moss. So three guys right there, I think, that are have the potential to be pretty good for us back there. So that's kind of the roster at this point. And then just the last couple final points. Obviously tomorrow's Kids Day, so we're excited about that. It'll be good for the players to have a change up. To be out in front of fans. And I know it's not 70,000, but it still makes a difference to the players, and it's good experience for them, just kind of a good change up overall, and get a little exposure to the outside world. And then beyond that, just the kid captain program, great that's continuing, and what a concept that has been. So it's just remarkable, and it'll be fun to have those kid captains with us tomorrow, and the seniors get a chance to visit with them in the locker room and spend some time with them on the field. And it was each and every one of them just amazing stories. So it's really something good for us to draw from, and really remind our players again how fortunate all of us are, players and coaches, how fortunate we are to be doing what we're doing and being able to be doing what we're doing. That's always a good thing. And also, whether it's that or the Kids Day, just the fact that athletes are role models. I believe that, and our players have done a nice job of accepting that responsibility. I think it's a good thing. It just kind of takes them back to, why do you play the game? It's really about the love of the game and love of being part of a team, and something besides, what it is you're doing individually. To me, that's a special part. So that's pretty much it. Other than, again, I just want to say thanks to our fans in anticipation of tomorrow. But bigger picture, just the fact that we're sold out for the season, that's fantastic. And we're very appreciative. We don't take that for granted. And hopefully we can, make everybody's experience enjoyable as we move along. I'll go ahead and throw it out for questions.
Kirk, considering everything at wide receiver, in the spring, you had injuries that kept a lot of guys out, and you had a couple of guys leave. Where do things stand right now? Do you feel confident in this unit, or are you a long way from being confident? And what's the status of Keegan Johnson?
No, Keegan's working back. He won't do a lot tomorrow, but he's working back. I think he's close to being where he needs to be, and hopefully the same thing with Brody. I'd put him right. They're really the two guys that have missed the most time now. And if you look big picture, you're including spring practice too. So that's, I don't know if concern's the right word, but that's where my awareness is, just that, they missed a lot of time. So to get them back and playing effectively with the right tempo and getting the timing down on the offense, all those kinds of things. You've heard me say it before, meetings are important. They have value and all that, but you learn how to play football by playing it. You got to go out there on the field and play it. So, the sooner we can get them back, hopefully it's next week, that'll be encouraging. And, they're both, in Keegan's case, he's played 12 games, 13 games. So, he's got experience there, but you have to play the game in practice. Brody's a little different story because he hasn't played. We really liked what we saw when he came back in the fall, but, we got to get him going. So, hopefully it's sooner than later. I think it will be, and but everybody else is doing a good job, and I think we've got some flexibility personnel-wise just with the tight ends. I think we got a little flexibility there. So we'll figure that out. But so far, so good. I think, our passing game's, I think it's on the right track right now.
How do you plan to use those 3 tight ends?
If guys can play, we're going to find a way to get them on the field. So, right now it's the first 2 guys are the ones that we really feel good about. Opportunity, Johnny Pascuzzi did a really good job in the spring. He continues to practice well. We've got a freshman, Addison Estranga from Wisconsin, has done a really good job, caught our eye. And then Steve Stilianos is still trying to figure out, get caught up with our system, but I think he's a prospect too. So, as you know, we like playing tight ends. If we got them, we'll play them. And, Sam's got some position flexibility, so if those guys can do a good job, maybe we use Sam out away from the line a little bit, that type of thing. So, we'll figure out a way to, best utilize our personnel, hopefully.
Back in 2014, there was a game here against Nebraska kind of stuck in your craw because the special teams it was a meltdown and pretty much gave the game away. Now you look at where special teams are, I would assume you feel much better about the whole special teams package now, and how much credit does LeVar get for that?
Yeah, on the more immediate front, 2 days ago, we had a really sloppy turnover in the red zone going in. And, in the red zone, you're always playing for a touchdown. You're trying to get a touchdown, that versus a field goal. But you got to come out with points. And if you turn it over in the red zone, just not good. And it was a young player who did it. So good teaching example, but it took me right back to 14. And then, kicking game is just, it's critical. And coincidentally, we just installed our kickoff team today. And lo and behold, Amani Jones popped out of midair and was at practice, like total coincidence. But that was good visual for everybody because he was on the highlight clip this morning, teaching clip. It's, going back 23 years plus. That was our first emphasis getting here was just special teams. Felt like we could get better faster in that area than we could defensively and then offensively. And there's more opportunity for everybody. You don't have to be a starter to contribute on special teams. Zach Abelman was on that clip. Both he and Amani had one start in their careers, but were really dynamic special teams players. So we try to make our players understand that. And to your point, that game, it was a critical component. We couldn't cover a punt that day, and it killed us. So, you win and lose games. No question about it. You win and lose games. And we've always believed that. Most importantly, the players have to believe it. And so far, at least in 9 days, we're seeing our guys with a good attitude, really working hard, and it's a great opportunity for guys that maybe aren't starters to contribute.
How does Aaron Graves look?
Really good. Yeah, he's an impressive guy. I was just commenting to Reese Morgan about that like 2 hours ago, I think. He goes hard. Really didn't know what he's doing a week ago, but he goes hard. He's got really good effort, and is a quick study. So. We'll see. We got a lot of guys right now doing good things up front, and that's good to see, though. He's got a little maturity to him, which is really unusual for a guy his age.
How would you assess Logan Jones' growth center?
Yeah, Logan's a good discussion, good illustration. So he's been playing well, and a year ago the frustration was he was injured a lot. So he works so hard, top condition, really trains hard. And, he's one of those guys, you go and watch our guys condition in the summertime, and he was always out front. He and Campbell kind of leaders that way. What he lacked was playing. And so at times he was kind of robotic. But I think he's clearly worked through that. Now he's becoming a really good football player. But, boy, he's just a really mature, focused guy, a really great attitude, great work ethic. And pretty sure he's our only married player right now, too. He got married over the holidays, so 4th of July week, I guess. So, joins pretty elite company, him and Aaron Campman.
Coach, I know that you were just talking about special teams. Do you have any idea who your number one field goal kicker is going to be yet? Or is that still?
It's wide open. And, they were both similar in the spring, other than age. Aaron's obviously older and been around a little longer. But, I think both capable, just both inconsistent. And just judge on, again, we're really young. Tomorrow will be good because we will have fans there, which does change things a little bit. I think both of them are capable, and they're both good candidates. So it's really going to come down to consistency, and we'll just play it by ear. And I think with any kickers, and punters, you have to just kind of sometimes ride the roller coaster a little bit at the front end. But I think both these guys are really focused and serious. So we're really, really pleased with what we're seeing so far.
What have you seen from Tyler Ellsbury so far?
Tyler's done a good job. He's done a good job, and he's playing primarily guard, but he's also playing some center, and he's done a good job. And he's at that point now where it's his time. He's ready to go, and he's worked hard. So hopefully he can just keep improving.
Maybe it's me just overanalyzing the photo galleries, but I don't think I've seen David David
Well, timeout. That's somebody's out there taking pictures all the time.
I don't think I've seen David Davidkoff practicing. Has he been practicing?
He hasn't. He'll be out here today, tomorrow, and going through a medical issue too, like several of our guys. So hopefully we can get him back. But no, he hasn't gotten any work this camp.
You feel good at running back? Seems like you mentioned the two freshmen, and then is Gavin okay? Has he been practicing? Gavin Lane?
He practiced, maybe half. He hasn't been the last week. Yeah, so he's got a camp injury too.
You feel good about your running backs.
Yeah.
You see using those true freshmen quite a bit.
Even in December, we felt confident that both Gavin and LeSean would do a nice job in the bowl game. They did, and you've heard me say Gavin's got a certain maturity about him for a guy his age. He really hadn't played all that much as a running back, but you feel confident, and a lot of that goes back to that fourth and two conversion he had back against Colorado State. He got a little my confidence that day. So, feel good about both those guys. They're both improving. LeSean's really growing a lot too, especially in the last 12 months. So I think we have a good, 1-2 punch there. Hilson's been out for a while. He's back now, so that's good. And just, by virtue of our depth, it was a real opportunity for both freshmen to come in. And, we're going to find out what they were, who they were. And I'll go back to the summertime. Our first-year guys are in the first group. They train at 6. And Ray Braithwaite was telling me these guys are coming by every morning, 5:40, 5:45. How you doing, Coach? All that stuff. And that's really unusual for guys, a month out of high school. That's really unusual. They have good personalities. They really learn well on the field, and they both have some talent too, which always helps. But they just got the right mindset. So I'm feeling a little bit better about our whole situation than I was, maybe a month ago or when I saw you in Indy.
Kirk, when you look at the tackle, and you said Connor Colby has moved outside or at least worked outside. What do you like about him potentially in that position, and kind of where do things sit right now, or are they still early in flux?
Yeah, well, we got a couple tackles out with injuries right now. You'll see that tomorrow. So that's helped expedite that process or that decision a little bit. What I really liked about Connor a year ago is just his competitiveness and his toughness, because it's really hard to play in the offensive line as a first-year player. That's really hard. A true freshman, which he was. We've had maybe 2 do it. So that's really, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. And not every day was a great day for him. Not every play is a great play. But his mental toughness and his ability just to keep competing really impressed us. And, I think all of us felt like, he's a guy that had position flexibility. But last year there was no, we weren't going to move him around. So now we have that capability. I think that actually is probably going to help him be a better lineman, period, wherever he ends up settling. And the good thing for us, it's kind of like last year at the spring with the linebackers being out. Now I think we have a whole new confidence in some of the younger linebackers. It's a whole different, level of comfort than we may have had we not had him in that regard or that role. So I think that's how we feel about Connor right now. We'll see where it all ends here in September, and health may dictate who's playing where. Hopefully we'll get all the guys back and be able to get guys where we feel, gives us our strongest lineup, mainly. I'll go back to the running backs too. I mentioned tomorrow being a big day for the kickers. Tomorrow's a big day for those backs too, because they really haven't been tackled, although according to the offensive coaches, the defensive guys are like at 89 tackles right so far this camp, even though we're not tackling. That gets out of control. But tomorrow we will be legitimately tackling, so it'll be good for those guys to get hit by college players, and it'll be a big day for them too.
What have you seen out of Logan Lee and when he breaks to the defensive side there?
When he what?
Logan Lee and what he kind of brings to that defense.
Just, his maturity. He's mentioned Gavin's kind of one of those guys, and Logan's like a 40-year-old guy too. He just, he is married, and you can easily see that. He's probably got 3 kids in a station wagon by now too, so 3 months later. But, he's a really, solid, hardworking, just an outstanding young guy. And he's developed into a good player. So, I feel really good about that.
Coach, Spencer Petras has had his highs and lows. Are you looking for anything specific improvement-wise out of him as he enters his senior season?
Yeah, all he's got to do is play. Just relax and play. And he may press at times and try a little too hard sometimes, and that's a good thing, but it can work against you too. So, but I think in my vantage point, just watching tape last year, I think the biggest thing is we just have to help him a little bit more and support him better. Hopefully, we'll be a little bit better blocking this year. Hopefully, we can run the ball a little bit better and get him in better situations, third down conversions, those types of things. And then, just a little bit more clarity, maybe what we're trying to do, so he can be quicker with his decision making and be a little bit, just a little bit more on tempo. And I think it's, it all kind of goes together. And then receivers running good routes and getting open, that helps too. But so far so good. I think we're seeing some positive things. And all that being said, it's tough because you're going against your defense and they know you better than anybody. So sometimes those guys run our routes better than our receivers do. So it's one of those age-old challenges. But so far so good. He's doing a good job.
Do you still view it as quarterback competition, or has Spencer won that yet?
Yeah, everybody's competing right now, and we'll just see what it looks like here, and basically after 20 practices, we'll know a little bit more. Yeah.
What have you seen from Deontay Craig?
He's had an injury too. He started out well. He had a good spring. He's got a lower leg injury, so I think he's probably going to come back sometime next week. It looks like that. But again, just another guy, great attitude, great work ethic, really, smart guy, and great kid on our football team. So it'd be good to get him back working.
Lucas Van Ness really, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but last year ago, spring kind of ascended very quickly, and then had 7 sacks. It's primarily a rotational tackle. It seems like he has the potential to move outside and be a good player out there. What's your assessment of him? Where do you see him making the biggest impact this year?
He's doing well. I'm smiling here because I'm thinking back to just college football in general. Recruiting 12 days ago, I guess it would have been, we had X amount of underclassmen on campus for a prospect day, like everybody does. And I keep telling the staff, I'm still struggling knowing that majority of the guys that were here that day were getting ready to go into their junior years. They hadn't played a game as a junior yet. And 2 of them were getting ready to start their sophomore years. So I'm only laughing because to equate that to Lucas, first time I met him or saw him was up in the library a year ago, 2 Januaries ago, I guess. And he was kind of a tall guy, played hockey, and he had a sister that went to school at Iowa. I think she was in the business school, which is nice, but it didn't mean we were going to recruit him. And so that was in January, and then he comes to camp in June and looked a little bit different, 4 or 5 months later, whatever the math is on that, 5, I guess. 5 months later, looks a little more like maybe, a prospect instead of a high school sophomore. And, comes to camp, or I guess that was going into his junior year maybe. He was in his junior year. Anyway, comes to camp and impressed us. It was the same night Wyatt Black was here. So that was when we offered him that night. After the camp, and obviously he's continued on that level or that plane of progress. So he's matured physically, like most kids do. Most of them aren't, Division I prospects in 10th grade, 11th grade, but he's really matured. He's got a really good attitude, works extremely hard, plays hard, and I think he's got great potential. So I'm glad he's on our team and he's ascending.
How much of a step up have you seen Cooper DeJean make this offseason?
Cooper is just so raw, coming from a, small school, did everything for them. And we still haven't, settled. He's playing corner, he's playing safety. So we still haven't settled just to one position with him. He seems to handle it well. Does a good job on special teams. But he's just a guy that, he's a football player. And go back to the play that our opponent broke right there in their last possession. He went from over here to down there and knocked the guy out of bounds, gave us a chance to, love to fight another day, and we couldn't get the job done. But to me, that was kind of a signature play for him. Like, that's who he is. He's not going to quit on a play. He's got good ability and a good mentality, real good mentality.
Coach, I know you don't pay much attention to this, but earlier this week, the coaches polls released that for the first time since 2018, Iowa is not ranked. Are you taking that as kind of a disrespect or a snub, and is your team going to use that as motivation for 2022?
It's like, oh gosh, oh gee, right? You know, it's one of those deals. I think you guys know how I feel about preseason polls. Like, you know, you talk about a waste of time. With all due respect, and that was a coach's poll, so I can say that and not offend anybody in the media. And I do have feelings on that too. There are opinions about coaches versus media. I wonder how many coaches actually do the polls. That's the first thing. But the bottom line is that, you know, what's really important is where you are in January. That's still all that counts. And, you know, those polls really don't start, I don't think, getting it right until probably, you know, November, somewhere in there. But it's all about, like, it's a long season, and yeah, I mean, right now it's just, you know, about us trying to get ready for South Dakota State. That'll be a challenge. But right now, really, it's more about this football team, and that's what we're trying to do, is get our team better and maximize our opportunities here, at least through these first 20 days, and then maybe we'll start looking down the road a little bit. Yep.
Kirk Merriweather said back in the spring that he felt a little bit snubbed by people because I think he was the only member of the secondary that did not get a postseason all-conference honor. How have you seen him sort of take that next step as far as a leadership role, and how has he kind of attacked camp and just for the secondary as a whole?
Yeah, you know, if that motivates him, I'm all for it. I'm not for him not, you know, getting honors, but I'm all for him being motivated. But I think he was anyway, and you know, the NFL scouts started coming through here probably a week ago, whenever, and obviously he's one of the guys we're talking about with them. You know, typical guy that Phil had stashed. You know, didn't say much about him late in recruiting. Brought him up as, you know, probably better high school basketball player than football. But all he's done is improve. You know, he's a tremendous young guy, great attitude, and a leader, not just in the secondary, not just on the defense, but our entire team. Highly respected, and like a lot of guys that, you know, Phil kind of, you know, soft plays and then brings them in. They seem to do that as their careers go on, and I expect that with Kayvon. I think he'll have a really good year, and you know, that's good for us and that's good for him. But we just see him, you know, continuing to get better, and the biggest thing I appreciate is just his role as a leader. He's totally invested in that.
Coach, last year's defense was one of the best in the country. Didn't lose any, lost some important pieces, but it seems like most people are back. Do you feel like this year's group, as it stands right now, can match what they did last year? Or what about it makes you feel that way?
Yeah, we'll see. And, you know, you just never know who the opponents are and what challenges are going to be there, what's going to happen during the course of 12 games. But I like the way our guys are working. I like the leadership we're getting start there. Their work ethic is good. They're practicing well. And we're the younger guys, as I mentioned, the linebackers, you know, watching them, what they did, the guys that aren't the three guys that start, you know, just how they operate. A year ago, we were really on the up front, and now we've got a lot of guys that have been around here, and they're playing better. So, you know, you like to think you're going to be better, but we still got to do it. That's the bottom line. And I'll take it a step further. I think that's one thing about our conference. There are teams in our conference that believe in defense. We certainly do, and have for a long time. I think it's one thing that makes our conference a little bit different. You know, I think there's a little bit more emphasis on defense here. So there's certainly competition just in the conference itself to be one of the better units.
But you seem to always have somebody on special teams, whether it be Henry Marquez or Terry Roberts or even Devontae Young, that steps up and is kind of that leader. Is there somebody in that unit right now that you can target?
Yeah, not quite sure yet who it is, but we've got a couple guys really doing a good job. You know, that's what we'll find out in the games. But yeah, you hope you have that. We have a lot of guys that are non-starters that are really competing, and I think are going to be able to help us. So keep our fingers crossed, and we, you know, work a couple periods a day on that. So great opportunity. Could be. Yeah, it could be. Yep.
Coach, can you kind of just talk about Alex Whitmore from a walk-on to now on the roster as a part of the 2-week wide receiver corps? So just talk about the development you've seen from him from spring to now.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. Just he's kind of, I don't know if quiet or subtle or is the right way to describe him, but you know, if he walked in the room, he's not going to jump out at you and dent, all that kind of stuff. But everything he does is just, there's quality to it and consistency to it. And due to our injury situation last spring, he had a lot of opportunity to get a lot of work that maybe in a normal circumstance he wouldn't have. And the whole trick is when you have opportunities, being ready to go. And he's done that. He's made tough catches. He's very precise with what he does. I'm not saying there's a correlation, but the guy working with him is Ed Hinkle, who also had a knack of, you know, kind of looking nondescript and really making good plays, good mental toughness, and just understands the detail of things. And then also will go after it, you know, go get the ball. So I'm not saying he is that Hinkle, but you could see some parallels just in terms of the way he operates, and it's a credit to him. And who knows? We'll see. But it's all good. I do know this: what you see in practice as coaches makes you feel better or worse about predicting what a player is going to do in competition.
Coach, Jack Campbell has had an outstanding career here. What's the next step in his evolutionary climb? I mean, his senior year.
Yeah, I laugh because when I talk to the scouts, I tell them, as a sophomore in high school, and you'll remember this, it took him at least 3 minutes to get his 5 fouls. So, he just, he was pretty quick to get those. And by his senior year, he was a pretty good basketball player, not a Division I prospect, but he became a basketball player. So to me, that evolution, we've seen the same thing in football. He's tremendously humble. That's the first thing I'd say about him. But boy, he goes hard. Everything he does, he goes hard. I think he probably could play any of the 3 backer positions. And if we had 2 more, they might be our defensive ends. He's that kind of football player. So it's all good for him. And, he's a strong leader on our team in a quiet way, just performance-wise. But, just it's all good for him. And he'll keep getting better. That's the thing. If you got the right attitude and you go hard, you're going to keep getting better. So, I'm glad he's on our football team.
All right.
Okay, see you over there. Thank you.
Thank you.